Unit price is essentially the idea behind what you would do in a grocery store. I mean, that's just as simple as it can be, or any store for that matter. A unit price essentially is your price per unit. Now, unit, we are talking about item that you're buying. Okay. In order to find a unit price, you're going to take the price of the item and you are going to divide it by the number of units purchased. Okay, so that's a lot of fancy words for you're going to take the price and divide it by however many of them you got. Usually this is done when you're comparing. So I always like to think of the grocery store. Think about yourself. You walk into the grocery store and you go into the ice cream aisle and you are looking at the fact that they have a huge array of different ice creams, and they're all different sizes and all different prices, and you want to be able to buy one ice cream container and have it be the best value for your money. So when we're talking about unit price, we're talking about, say you pick up that pint of Haagen-Dazs and you look at its price and it says $4.25. Well, in order to figure out its unit price, you have to look at say how many ounces are actually in that pint. So then what you would do is you would take that $4.25, which is the cost of the whole, divide it by the number of ounces in your product, and that's going to give you the cost per individual ounce. Now you can compare that to anything. We could compare that to a party gallon, and you could actually see which is going to end up being the better buy. Now, most people would assume the better buy is going to be the cheaper option, but that is not always the case. So I want to take a look at a couple examples and let's just see what happens. Now, in these, for this first one, we need to remember that you are being asked to round to the nearest tenth of a cent. Okay? So I have coffee. My first coffee is 11.5 ounces at $3.99. So I have coffee A, which is going to be $3.99 per 11.5 ounces. I would go ahead and divide that out. You're going to come up with 0.3, and then this is going to be per ounce. Then I have coffee B. And this one is $8.99, but I'm getting 39 ounces. So notice, two very different products. So I'm looking at small bag and I'm looking at big bag. And I'm also looking at small price versus bigger price. The assumption most people make in the grocery store is that the small price is the better buy because it's the lower value. But look what happens. When we actually divide that out, $8.99 divided by 39, you get 0.2 per ounce. When you compare these two, in reality, your better buy is actually going to be coffee B, which was 39 ounces for $8.99. Because it is a smarter, cheaper purchase per individual ounce. Okay? Remember that the next time you go to a grocery store. Bring your calculator. So let's look at another one, sliced ham. I have 12 ounces at $3.99 and 8 ounces at $2.89. So here again we have ham A is going to give me $3.99 for my 12 ounces. When I divide that out, you're going to get 0.33. And notice I have nearest cent, which means hundredths. Then I also have ham B, which is going to be 289 for 8 ounces. When I divide that out, we end up getting 0.36. So here, if we want to do your better buy, we are looking at ham B, which, nope, I'm sorry, ham A, which was going to be your 12 ounces of ham for $3.99. Why? Because it is actually a better purchase per cent per ounce than your other one, even though ham A is a much larger dollar amount. Okay, it actually comes out to be the better purchase. Now, the other thing that we need to look at is, what does all of this mean when we actually apply it to application problems? So these are close or similar to, say, a real-world event. And so we have, in recent years, 18 out of every 100 students taking the SAT at a local school have scored 600 or above on the mathematics portion of the test. Write the ratio in lowest terms of the number of scores 600 or above to the number of scores 600 and below. So, the first thing that we know is that we are creating a ratio, and the ratio is going to be 600 and above scores to 600 and below scores. Well, we have to be able to figure out what is 600 and above. So, to score 600 or above means I have 18 out of every 100 students scored 600 or above. So this is 18 out of 100. I can reduce this down. Dividing both by 2 gives you 9 out of 50. I then have to look at scoring 600 or below. So the rest of it says, basically, if this is what scores above, then the rest has to score below. So 100 minus the 18 that scored above had to score below. So the first thing we're looking at is 100 minus 18, which is going to give me 82. But then I want to reduce that down as well, so divide them both and you get 41 over 50. So I have my ratio here that I still have to do. So I have scores above is 9 over 50. And then I have scores below, 41 over 50. The rules for fractions say, keep the top, change to multiplication, flip the reciprocal of the bottom. Notice here, my 50 and 50 would cancel. There is nothing in common between 9 and 41, so this would be 9 to 41. And this here would be the ratio. Alright, let's look at another one. John has collected 7 quarters while Walt has collected 25 dimes. How much money does Walt have compared with John's? So we're looking at John, and he has collected 7 quarters. We know 1 quarter, so when we're looking at this, we know that 1 quarter equals 25 cents. So therefore, John's amount is going to be 7 quarters times 25 cents per quarter, which is going to give you $1.75. And then we need to know Walt. Walt has collected 25 dimes. Again, we know that 1 dime equals 10 cents. So I have 25 dimes times my 10 cents is going to give me $2.50. So I want to know my ratio, which is going to be Walt to John, and in this case we are talking about money. So here we have $2.50 to John's $1.75. And so there's a couple things that we can do with that. First of all, we have straight division, which would give us a ratio of 1.43. But the other thing that we have is we have fractions. So we could also look at it through the eyes of I have 2.50 over 1.75. So I have to take my decimal and move it twice. So I got to do the same to the bottom. So this is going to give me 250 over 175, which is going to reduce down to 10 over 7. And so this would actually be your fractional ratio. So what you will need to know when you're working with this is you need to know what exactly are you looking at. So this would be your ratio. Here, when we're talking about $2.50 to $1.75, then what this means is that they had a combination or a difference between them of $1.43. So it's just basically, it's your ratio. And then you have to look at what exactly is it that your question is getting at. In order to know, are we looking at the fractional ratio or are we looking at a decimal type ratio? Again, this is still going to be Walt's money to John's money. Okay. Alright, let's look at another one. So we have a 2013 Chevy Malibu will travel 499.5 miles on 13.5 gallons of gas. What is the rate in miles per gallon? So the rate tells you right here, miles per gallon. So my rate is going to be 499.5 miles to my 13.5 gallons. So I actually want to just go ahead and divide that out. We're going to end up with 37 miles per gallon, which is also more classically written as 37 miles per gallon, or MPG. Okay. Alright, last I have a carton of 18 free-range organic eggs cost $5.49. What is the cost per egg? So I want cost per egg. So here we're looking at $5.49 per 18 eggs. So simply do your division here. You would end up with 0.305 per egg. However, we're talking about cost, so you want to make sure you round to your cent. So this is essentially 31 cents per egg. So there you have it. That is everything that you need to know about doing unit price and how these ideas affect applications, especially as you're out in the real world. So I challenge you, the next time you go to a grocery store, take a look at the products you're buying, not just because this is the label you always bought, but actually take a look at it and do yourself a favor. Compare it to something next to it that's the same product but maybe a different brand or a different size, and check and see which turns out to be the better buy. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.